And on another subject, James, earlier this week we heard how the Prime Minister's travel was affected by bad weather. I understand that's now threatening the festive travel plans of some troops.
Well, that's right. The same sandstorm or dust storm, call it what you like, that affected the Prime Minister's visit on Tuesday is still hanging around the atmosphere here in Camp Bastion. And it's now threatening for some guys who are hoping to go back for R&R for the festive period. It's threatening their flights home. So earlier today I went down to the Air Traffic Control Centre to take a look at how the dust was affecting the flights home.
The runway at Camp Bastion is usually a busy and bustling place with over 500 flights a day transiting through the airfield. But for the last few days, an unusual band of weather has prevented flights from taking off or landing at the airbase.
We had quite a significant dust event about 2 days ago, some very strong winds down the Iranian border. It's poured up quite a lot of dust, really. So all this that you can see behind me now is the very fine stuff. It's just taken a long time to settle out. Current Met conditions mean there's no real mechanism to clear this dust, and so it's just sitting here and we're waiting for gravity to have its effect.
Temperatures here in Bastion have this week struggled to rise above freezing, as opposed to the average December temperature of around 15 degrees.
What we need is a bit of warmth, really. It's far too cold for the dust to escape up into the atmosphere. So when we get some warm air in, coming in tomorrow, that should help to lift the dust out of the way, hopefully bring in some slightly stronger winds to move it aloft as well.
But it's not just the Prime Minister's plans that have been affected by the poor conditions. Many troops are currently waiting to fly home on R&R, troops who had planned on being home for Christmas.
The problem is that the weather is so very difficult to predict. So whilst it does look like it's improving, and obviously we all hope it is, we are doing everything we can to get aircraft in and out now from Bastion, and just to make sure that everybody gets home for Christmas.
But for some in Helmand, visibility is a luxury, and the pilots who transport casualties back to Bastion have had to rely on their skill and experience to get them through the poor conditions.
That's the one thing that has continued. The guys have done massively well, and we've continued to provide that capability where possible.
Conditions here earlier seem to have stabilised, and it's hoped that they will improve enough tomorrow to get those waiting home in time for Christmas.
So, James, what's the situation like tonight?
Well, as you saw in my report, some flights did come in today, but only about, well, they're dealing with about 10% of what they're normally used to. Now, the conditions did improve earlier, but as night fell here on Bastion, it's got a little bit worse. The situation apparently now has stabilised, but we'll have to wait until tomorrow morning to assess the Met conditions and see whether those guys get home in time for Christmas.
All right, James Banks in Camp Bastion, thank you.